If you've ever looked at your Texas property tax bill and thought, what in the world is a MUD, or why am I paying a PID assessment, you're definitely not alone. These two tax bills typically come separate from your typical tax bill from the appraisal district. So many homeowners know they're paying county, school, and district or city property taxes, but then they notice that they get another bill with an unfamiliar name and wonder if they're being taxed twice. The answer is maybe, but not for the reason you think. Today we're breaking down municipal utility districts, or MUDs, and public improvement districts, or PIDs. We'll explain what they are, why they exist, what they pay for, and whether they're actually a good or bad deal for homeowners. Let's get into it. Welcome to Lonestar Breakdown. This channel explains Texas from its government to its law to its history, economics, and everything in between. I utilize source documents for the topics I'm researching to give you the most direct answers on how things work in Texas. If you enjoy straightforward explanations backed by research, consider subscribing. This video is intended for educational purposes. Laws and policies can change, so always verify information with official Texas sources before making any decisions. So, why do MUDs and PIDs exist? Let's start with a simple example. So, imagine you're a developer and you buy 1,000 acres of ranch land outside a growing Texas city. There's no infrastructure in place. There's no water system, no sewer lines, no storm drainage, no neighborhood roads, no sidewalks, and no parks. Basically, it's just open land, and before anyone can buy a house there, someone has to build all of that infrastructure. The question becomes, who pays for it? So should every taxpayer in the county pay for a brand new neighborhood that they may never use? Or should the people who eventually buy the homes there help pay for those improvements over time? Texas often chooses the second option. That's where MUDs and PIDs come into the picture. So what exactly is a MUD? So a municipal utility district is a special purpose local government created under Texas law. Despite the name, it is usually not part of a city. Instead, it has its own elected board of directors whose job is to oversee utility infrastructure. A MUD commonly provides drinking water, wastewater collection, storm drainage, sometimes parks, sometimes roads, and sometimes recreational facilities. Here's how it works. So the MUD sells bonds to investors. Those bonds generate the money needed to build infrastructure before homes are even constructed. Over time, homeowners within the district repay those bonds through MUD property taxes. Think of it like financing a neighborhood instead of financing a single house. With MUDs, many rapidly growing neighborhoods in Texas might have taken much longer to develop because someone would have had to pay millions of dollars up front. It's also important to understand that a MUD tax isn't necessarily permanent. Part of the tax often goes towards paying off construction debt. Another part may continue paying for operations and maintenance, such as maintaining water systems and other infrastructure. Now, what is a PID? Well, now let's talk about public improvement districts. A PID serves a different purpose. Instead of funding essential utilities like water and sewer, a PID usually finances improvements that make a neighborhood more attractive or more desirable. For example, walking trails, decorative landscaping, neighborhood entrances, lakes, lighting, enhanced parks, community gathering spaces, and in many cases the developer builds these improvements first. Rather than adding all of those costs into the purchase price of every home, they're financed over time through a PID assessment. You'll often see that assessment in a separate property tax bill. Although it appears on the same bill, it's technically different from traditional property tax because it's generally a special assessment tied to improvements benefiting the properties within the district. So it can be part of your normal tax bill, but usually it's separate. Now, can you pay city, county, school, MUD, and PID all at the same time? Yes, and many Texans actually do. Imagine buying a home in a rapidly growing suburb. Your annual tax bill might include taxes for your school district, county, your city if you live in city limits, your municipal utility district, community college district, hospital district, and a public improvement district assessment. That surprises many people because they assume they're only paying city and county taxes, but each of these entities exists for a different purpose and funds different services. One common misconception is that cities can't collect property taxes until a MUD has been paid off. That is generally not true. Many homeowners in Texas pay both city taxes and MUD taxes at the same time. The city is funding general municipal services like police, fire, and parks, while the MUD is typically paying for the utility infrastructure or continuing to operate those systems. So, at the end of the day, are MUDs and PIDs good or bad? Well, like many things in government, that answer really does depend. Supporters argue that MUDs and PIDs allow communities to grow without requiring existing taxpayers to fund new infrastructure. Critics argue that these districts can increase the total cost of home ownership and make property tax bills more confusing. And I have first-hand experience with this. They can make it a lot more confusing if you don't know what's going on. So neither answer is entirely right or entirely wrong. The important thing is understanding what you're paying for before buying a home. A house with a lower purchase price but a high MUD tax may actually cost more over time than a slightly more expensive home without a MUD tax. That's why it's important to look beyond the listing price and review the property's full tax obligations. So in conclusion, the next time someone says they're paying a MUD tax or a PID assessment, you'll know they're not just paying another random tax. They're helping fund infrastructure improvements that benefit their neighborhood directly where they live. Whether that's good value in your opinion or if you think you're paying too much, that just depends on your specific circumstances and what you believe you should be paying for. If you found this explanation helpful, consider subscribing because this is part of a series where we break down how Texas government actually works, from property taxes and appraisal districts to county government, school finance, elections, and much more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.